So as you may or may not have heard, just recently I actually ran a marathon, right? So it's not a new thing for me. This is my third one. Apparently this is now something I do. I don't know how I feel about it, but it is something that I've done more than once. But what I did this year is I ran the New York City Marathon, which was totally new to me and kind of great on a whole bunch of levels. But what was most interesting is for the first time I wrote my name on the shirt that I ran on, which I've heard about for years and that you should do it. And when you do, people will look at you and they'll say your name and they'll cheer you on, and that can be really impactful as you go, right? I've heard this lots of times, but I've just never done it. Well, this year I finally wrote my name, and so it said Josh in big bold letters as I was going. And I'm running through the streets of New York, which is a place I used to live. I know it well, but I don't know anyone who's gonna be here. And I kept having this experience that happened all the stinking time where I would hear my name and someone would say, Josh, and then they would say, you can do it, or I see you, or you've got this. And I knew it was coming, and I was still surprised at how impactful it was. Every single time I would get caught unaware as someone would say my name with passion and some vigor, and they'd look me in the eye and say, you got this. And I would think to myself, I know this is all fake, but yeah, I do have this. And I'd run faster for a bit more, and then a part of me would hurt and I'd run slower again, because that's what you do in a marathon. But it has me thinking ever since that happened about the importance of being called by name. And it's something that is part of the Christian tradition, right? It's been part of our faith tradition forever, is that we believe there's a God who knows you and me. And we're not widgets or some part of a grand scheme. We are, but more than that, you and I are individual people who are made in his image, whom God knows and calls by name. And that is monumental for everything, right? We hear about it throughout Scripture. It shows up. Probably the most famous part is when it shows up in Samuel, to the prophet of Samuel. And he's a kid and he's working in the temple and he's got this master that he's serving, and he keeps hearing this name call him in the night, Samuel, Samuel. And he eventually finds out that it's not his master who's calling him, it's God himself who's calling him, and then says to him, and this is in 1 Samuel 3, in verse 11, and it says, and the Lord said to Samuel, see, I am about to do something in Israel that will make the ears of everyone who hears about it tingle, right? And it's just a worthwhile reminder for you and I, in a world and a context where we can feel small and insignificant, where we feel like we're nothing more than a cog in a greater machine of just trying to make everything run, that there is a God who knows you and calls you by name, right? Who knows you, your real name, your true name, the thing that means weight and purpose and value, and calls you. And while sometimes there are those big mountaintop experiences, I think God honestly calls us often on a regular basis, if we can give space to listen and to hear. That there's times when God calls to me and just says, Josh, 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 and just calls me and tells me the things I need to know. And I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of times I struggle to hear that. There's a lot of times my schedule or my week or my emails or inbox make it hard to hear that call, but that call is there. And so friends, wherever you are this week, whether you are running a marathon or sitting by yourself or drowning in email or looking at the season and going, how am I gonna do it all? I wanna remind you that there is a God who knows you and is calling you by name today and every day. And I wanna invite you to give space and time to listen to that call. Grace and peace, friends. Have a good week.